Good day, it's Mike from Flex Radio. Today I wanted to go over with some items we call Works with Flex. And there's a number of pieces of software and some pretty cool hardware that allow you to make station interfacing fairly elaborate, if you like, or fairly simple, but incredibly reliable as well. And unlike other HF radios you may be aware of or have used in the past, Flex radios have the ability to support different programs at the same time. And drive amplifiers and antenna switches all at the same time. And the nice thing about it, it's one of the few things where you can set it up once and forget it because it will just continue to work. And as an example, pick any other vendor radio, it has one CAT or RS-232 or serial port. They're all the same thing that will control you log it, you connect it into your computer, you hook up your logging program to it. But I want to run WSJT at WJSTX at the same time, but there's a bit of a conflict, and there's some other tools you can install like VSP port splitters, and it's just too much work. And if you're a tinkerer, that's great. It's fun to make it work, and believe me, I'm an integrator. I love putting that stuff together. But I'm amazed at how simple the engineers at Flex thought of this from the ground up and made station integration an absolute priority on top of what is an amazing radio to start with. So one of the first things I want to show you is the USB interfaces. So I'm going to drag in my Smart SDR here. And under settings, you've probably noticed something called USB cables. And if you tab on that, of course it always pops up in a different place. You'll see that I've got a couple of USB cables here, and let's open it up and see what they do. So I just tapped on one and I hit edit. Now this is where the strength really comes. Let's call this, amplifier. And what this is going to do is, and it's sort of beyond what we want to talk about today, but this is going to send CAT data or frequency and band data directly to the amplifier from the radio. So you don't have to have a computer in between. And what are you going to use this with? Oh, amplifiers, steppers, or anything that needs to know what band or what frequency you're on. It's a CAT cable. It could also be a binary coded data cable, which we sell, and that's further configuration. But let's just talk about basic serial CAT. And what do we want it to do? Well, if you've got a 6400, 63, 64, 6500, you probably want it to follow the transmit slice, meaning as my focus changes from one VFO or slice to another, I want that band data to go to my amplifier so that the amplifier changes bands from 80 to 40 or 20. But if you have a 6600 or a 6700, you may want it to be always tied to a transmit antenna. So in this case, I want it always on antenna port 1 on the back of the radio. And maybe if I had a second amplifier, I'd add another one of these cables, and you can add as many as you need by just using a USB powered hub. You can say, I can make that go to select antenna 2, or maybe it's a transverter, or maybe it's a receiving antenna, XVTR, which stands for receiving. In the bit world, it's a little more, actually I've never played with this, as you can tell. Here we go. In the bit world, you've got a whole bunch of things you can tell it to what to go to, band, etc. So frequency range is pretty powerful. So this is if you have a stack of transmitters, you may use this, or for filters, bandpass filters, and things. Whatever you want to develop. And so there's lots of things you can expand upon. So I just wanted to say that that's what's available. And there's a document, nowhere near complete, but it gives you an idea. It's called the USB interface guide. It quickly downloads it. We're going to open it up, and you'll see that we talk about device configurations for amplifiers, steppers, down east microwave devices, etc. And this is by no ways the limit. You can do so much more with that. So I have a page through that if it interests you, and you can easily read through that. So getting back to what works with Flex, here's some of the higher or the well-known programs that we know that interface directly with Flex Radio. First off, I really wanted to touch on Dog Park SDR. It's a client. It's a full-blown Smart SDR client. It works on a MacBook Pro type of thing. Don, I had a long chat with Don Agro about it, and he designed this from a different vision. He didn't want to know Smart SDR. As a developer, he had his own vision of what it would look like. Wonderful guy, wonderful support. It's not free. However, I've seen him answer emails on a Sunday morning and type of things, and tweets and stuff. He's got some really cool integration. So Dog Park SDR, if you're a full Mac user and want to run a Smart SDR client right on your MacBook. The other one, though, for Apple users is Smart SDR for iOS by Marcus. And this runs on an iPad or an iPhone. It allows you to access your HF rig in your house or over the LAN or over the WAN, which is remotely. We always jokingly say Starbucks. It does require version 2.0 software to do this, and again, it's not a free product, but very reasonably priced. He's got integration to DX clusters. You can actually put a VFO knob on it, which is pretty slick. And you want to read about Smart SDR for iOS. That's pretty slick. The other one you've seen me talk about is in a previous video is SliceMaster. Now we're going to get into the sort of the developer stuff. So they don't have, some guys have web pages, but some don't. Don Beaudry, K1 Delta Bravo Oscar, writes this really cool interface tool that makes it just a simple click interface with things like WSJT to get spots from logging programs or N1MM. And a whole number of things. You can read about it here. He's got some good stuff. Don's also very active on our community, and we were actually trading emails with how do you get 4 slices talking to WSJT? That's easy, but how do you get 4 copies of JT Alert working? So as of today, which is near the end of December in 2018, it's something he's sort of tinkering with right now. And you're going to find a lot of these products overlap as well. FR Stack is another pretty cool one. It does, it can read your S meter, you can change slice settings, and a whole bunch of really interesting management stuff of the stack of parameters that your Flex radio has. And you, again, read through this. I use it and for a number of different reasons, and again, pretty powerful. And again, you can run FR Stack while you're running SliceMaster or type of thing. Now, SDR Bridge is another one. You can, by the way, Google all these and quickly find them. So SDR Bridge was originally developed to help interface CW Skimmer with WriteLog, and that's where part of its power is, or most of its power as well. It's pretty cool. And of course, CW Skimmer, while we don't list it as working with Flex, works very well with the Flex IQ stream that allows you to skim right off the slices you're using, which is again another pretty cool feature. Now, Ray Kilo 9 Delta Uniform Radio writes a number of really very handy utilities. He's got a Morse keyer that talks right to the radio. Auto Center is an SDR Auto Center. I really have to try this one. I haven't. It looks like it's out. It's been pretty new, just at the beginning of the month, so I got to go give that a shot. The SDR Memory is a memory management system for your radio, so you can put all your nets or shortwave radio stations or whatever into memory. SDR Monitor is for health of the radio voltages, amplifier voltages. FR Stack does this as well. If you're using a PGXL, just a bunch of cool monitoring stuff. SW Plotter 6K is actually something I use a lot on my remote. I have a 160 meter vertical with elevated radials, and I've noticed that the SWR changes all over the place, and it's directly related to whether the ground's frozen or not. So it gives me a nice little visual of SWR, and it scans the band for me in a plot. Voice keyer for using for contests or whatever. In parallel, I also use N1MM's voice keyer. It drives an audio stream right through to the radio, and Ray's voice keyer can do the same thing if you're not using N1MM but still want voice keyer. And that's a really powerful tool, because you can then record your own voice keyer messages and then edit them, and maybe you want to audio taper them a bit with programs like Audacity, and have them trimmed so they're just perfect, and then you use them with VoiceGear to play right into the radio. DDU Util has been around for a long time. It's a data decoder utility, and it started with Power SDR and was the octopus that kept everything playing together. So DDU Util does things like power control for amplifiers. It can also drive steppers, anything cat related, and does a great job of interfacing a bunch of things. You can spend a lot of time in DDU Util. The wiki is very good. This wiki here that you can see, and it has if you have a question about how something works, I guarantee it's been written up on the wiki. DX Labs is pretty popular. It has direct interface to a Flex 6000 series radio. DX Commander for transceiver control will find the radio immediately. Dave's written a cool job of doing that. It's been there for quite a long time, and then of course that'll tie into all the other DX Commander things like logging and propagation and spots and stuff. One thing we should also discuss is logging programs. Now, most logging programs can work with your Flex radio, although not directly. They do follow the old traditional way of connecting through to a serial port, which was the cable you had hanging over the back of your computer, connected to the cable hitting to the back of your radio. Since we do that automatically now, or within the product, you may want to look at SmartSDR CAT. And you've seen this load before, and I want you to look at a couple of things here. I have a CAT control for COM7 on slice A, and I have another CAT control on COM9 for slice B. So what does that really mean? It means I can use those two ports, which emulate a Kenwood command set, to talk to many different logging programs, as simple as Ham Radio Deluxe will work just fine. As you would set up your transceiver in the past, you'll just tell it to go to COM whatever number. In my case it was 7. Select a Kenwood type, usually a TS2000 or TS480, works fine, and then HRD will be able to see the radio. The same thing is true whether you're using NFN3, FJP, Carl's software from M4PY. A lot more than a logging program, by the way. This does a lot of rig control, rotor control, amplifier control. A couple of our contesters use it as part of their contesting station integration. Log4OM is another one. And I apologize if I've missed out any other logging programs, but many can be made to work as simply as talking to the CAT port. And one more thing, keep an eye on the Flex community at community.flexradio.com. Lots of good ideas. If you have any questions on integration, remote operating, problems integrating maybe with your station, maybe some router issues, lots of talent there. You'll notice that some of the people that respond are tagged as Elmers, so they have something they earn, and we upgrade them to Elmers so that you can trust their replies as being knowledgeable and well thought out and experts in the Flex Radio product set. So that's all I have. I hope you have a good day, and thanks for having a moment to listen to me this afternoon or this morning or wherever you may be, and I hope some of these items help you out with your station integration. Take care.